Okay.
All right. You are live, StreamYard says. We are live. What's up, everybody? We are back with our second episode with our mental performance coach, Tk LaFleur. What up? Say what up to the people.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for having me. So happy to be here, really. It's been
Yes.
fun. It was fun last week, so I know we're going to have some fun this week.
Perfect. So today we are talking about setting goals, finding and working towards our purpose, and then building accountability for ourselves and discipline as athletes, maybe coaches as well, around our goals and our purpose. So we're going to talk about those things, maybe give some tips on some techniques on how to use those in our daily life as our athletes or coaches. But first, for anybody, coach, for anybody that's going to see this for the first time, maybe they missed out on last week's episode, we're just going to give a quick brief background of you.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
So my name is Tk LaFleur. For those that don't know, I'm a certified mental performance coach. I have played basketball since I was about 7 years old. I've played at all levels: high school, college, pro. And this is just the mental performance side of sports is something that is not as focused on as much as it should be, because the mental side of sports is just so important, especially when you get to those higher levels when everyone's skill set and talent is pretty much just equal across the board. So I've been taking some time to grow my knowledge in the mental performance area, to give back to those athletes. It doesn't matter what sport it is. I did play basketball, but I've played football. I played tackle football. I have played softball. I have played baseball. I have played all the sports pretty much. So all of this knowledge is transferable across any sport. And it's also something that can be transferred over into everyday life as well. So don't think just because I'm targeting athletes that it can't be used in your everyday life. So just ready to share some knowledge and hopefully get some people interested in the mental performance side of things to help elevate your game to that next level.
Awesome. So last week, guys, on Monday at 4:30, the same time, we talked about confidence. So for anybody that didn't see that, let's just give a kind of like a brief, maybe one or two things that you think would be a recap of last week. We talked about a lot of things, but
we did.
What things would you say, as for confidence, stick out the most?
Confidence is definitely a choice. You choose to be confident. You're not necessarily born with confidence. It's not really a feeling. You choose confidence every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And something else that I guess you could take away with confidence is, I'm trying to just run through all the things that we talked about because it was so much.
Right.
Your mindset, I guess, really just determines your confidence. You can talk yourself into something, or you can talk yourself out of something. And if you want to be confident in whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, whether it's sports related or not, you have to have confidence in you, because if you don't have confidence in you, how can you expect your coach, your teammates, your trainers, other agents, other scouts to have confidence in you? So you have to exude that confidence.
Exactly. I agree, Coach. So I think you nailed on the head talking about confidence is a choice. You know, whether you have the skill that you need at the time or not, it's a choice to say, hey, I'm going to work my butt off to get these skills up. I'm going to figure out why I might have low confidence at this time. I'm going to get over that fear, but it's a choice of saying, I'm going to do this, and I'm okay with failing, and I know it's going to be hard, but I'm just going to go. I'm going to try.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. And then on top of that, the mindset, and then there's that action.
Yep.
So once I make the choice to say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to figure this out, I'm going to get better and improve, what are my action steps? So my action are getting a trainer if you have to, but more so it's the work. You got to put the work in, and you got to be consistent.
Yep.
We talked about consistency last week as well.
We did, and it goes back to the old adage: do a little, a lot, and not a lot, a little. So basically, you need to work out every single day. It doesn't matter what that workout looks like. You could just work on ball handling one day. You did something just a little bit. to get better that day. You can work on shooting that day. You can work on, maybe you go hit the weight room. It doesn't matter. The point is that you're being consistent and you're doing a lot of things a little bit at a time in order to truly gain that confidence that, hey, I can do this. I'm strong enough. I'm fast enough, this, that, and the other. It's sort of like the, you want $3 million right now, or do you want one penny doubled every single day for the next 30 days?
Mm-hmm.
Now, me personally, I'll take the 1 penny doubled every day, because this is what happens. It's just like compound interest.
Yeah.
On day 1, you have 1 cent. On day 2, you have 2 cents. On day 3, you have 4 cents. By the time you get to day 30, you have over $5 million. And if you go to day 31, you have over $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you get that way? You did a little bit every single day, and you collected that compound interest, and your confidence just grew through the roof, because you start seeing the results a little bit at a time. And when you start seeing those results from the work that you're putting in, you're praising the work that you put in, which makes you become consistent, which also shows that you have discipline, and your confidence continues to elevate.
Okay, awesome. All right, guys. So before we get started, whoever's watching, let us know where you're from, where you're watching from. If you have any comments, any questions that you guys want us to answer or try to address, we would love to do that. Put some comments and questions in the comment box, and we're gonna get to those. Okay. But Coach, let's start off. So what we're talking about is finding our goals and our purpose, and then creating and building discipline and an accountability kind of system for ourselves. And once we find our goals, you have to have that what did you call it? Full circle. You have
it has to come full circle.
The accountability, the discipline and consistency to do something every day,
right?
To get where we're going.
Right.
Okay, so let's just talk about how would you help athletes understand their goals and purpose, I guess.
Right. So your goals, what does a goal look like? You're going to have long-term goals, you're going to have short-term goals, or telescope goals and microscope goals, whatever you want to call them. So for somebody who's in high school, a microscope goal or a telescope goal would look something like you want to get a scholarship in your sport. Or if you're in college, you want to go play professionally, whether it's overseas or in the States. And so those are long-term goals. You can't just wake up tomorrow and have accomplished that goal. So then you scale it back to your microscope goals. And those are the smaller goals and the smaller disciplines and habits that you're going to do every single day throughout the course of however many years, however many months, in order to get you to that telescope goal. So Coach Ernie didn't wake up after her first week of college and get a contract to go play overseas. She didn't do that. I didn't wake up after my first week of college and get a contract to go overseas. We had to put the time in. I took me 5 years. I think it took her 4 years, but we had to put the time in every single day for those 4 years and really work, because we knew in the back of our minds that if we wanted to get to the next level, we had to do a little bit every single day to improve our games, to make sure that we weren't overlooked and passed up for those opportunities to go play pro.
Right.
So I guess something that I really work with athletes on is saying, okay, when you tell me what your telescope goals are, let's take that goal and backtrack it all the way to today. So when we're going to write down your workout regimen for the next, we'll probably do it in chunks of months. And every few months we'll reevaluate to make sure we're still on track for our goals. And that's how you associate your someday goals to today. Because I know that that's a miss for some people. They see so far out in the future, but they don't understand how much work needs to be put in right now to get to that ultimate goal. That's
true. What I want to add to that is that for me, a lot of times the what'd you call it? Telescope, the end goal, right? The telescope goal didn't change, but in order to get there at different parts of my journey, the microscope, those little things had to change. I had to kind of twist them around. I had to do more here in strength and conditioning. I had
Right.
I had a surgery, so now I can't really play. So now I have to focus on physical therapy.
Right.
And now I got to eat healthier. Or now I'm playing. Now we're practicing more. Now I don't understand the play, so I need to do a little bit more work on the plays with my coaches or my teammates. So, guys, understand the things that you need to do on a more consistent basis will fluctuate. Yep. And they will change depending on where you are personally, depending on what you need, depending on the season, time of the season. Yep. But those are the things that will change. Not so much the end goal.
Right.
What do you think about that, Coach?
Yeah, for sure. So it's like you never change the end goal. You may have to take multiple paths to get there. So just like when you put something in the GPS, there's more than one way to get to the same destination.
Sure, yeah.
You're just choosing which path you think will be best based on traffic, time, whatever. So that's how your goals work. Your end game never changes, but the route you take to get there may change. You may have to U-turn back around because of an injury. You may have to U-turn back around because of maybe you didn't get what out of those workouts that you wanted.
Yeah.
At the level that you wanted. So you just say, okay, let me take a few steps back and restart over in that particular area, but you keep moving forward in other areas. So there's no such thing as this is the only path I have to take, and if I have to run through 17 brick walls, then that's what I'm going to do. No, you don't have to do that. Just say, hey, I got all I can out of this, and now I need to redirect and go over here. And then I need to redirect and go over there. And that's okay because your end goal never changes. It's just the way you get there can change. It can fluctuate. It can go up and down. It's possible. But keeping your end game in mind is essentially what's going to keep you going every single day.
Awesome. Okay. I agree. So those are our goals. Finding your telescope goal and your microscope goals. So now let's figure out. Let's talk about purpose.
Okay.
When I think about purpose on the very basic level, when I talk to the athletes I'm working with, I talk to them about the three things. What are the three things that you do naturally on the court? That's your value. That might not be your sole purpose when you get on a team, but those are the things that are going to help you figure out your purpose.
Right.
So for me, I understood in high school, I could score, I was a great defender, and I was a good rebounder. Those are my three things. And when it comes to scoring, I was 15 foot and in. I knew my lane.
Yeah,
right.
Know your lane.
I'm 2 or 1 dribbles in. I'm not 3 or 4 or 5. I'm not at the 3-point line launching. I can make a 3-pointer if I was open, but that wasn't my bread and butter. So
right.
I stuck with those 3 things.
Right.
I didn't weave and bob and look at other players and say, oh, she can shoot the 3 better. Man, I wish that was me. No, I stayed with what I did, and I was able to be a McDonald's All-American like you, and I was able to, be highly recruited. So, So those are things I try to help and ask kids. What are the 3 things that you think you do naturally on the court? What do you talk about when you think about purpose? How do you get there?
So I think what you're talking about as far as identifying what your true strengths are is right. Very important because you want to spend majority of your time increasing and elevating your strengths. You don't want to it's not that you never spend time on your weaknesses. It's just that you don't want to give as much energy to them because that's not going to be your bread and butter. That's not what's going to get you recruited to the next level. Am I capable of going left? Yes. Do I practice going left? Yes. Probably about 15 minutes of my whole workout, if that, I practice with my left hand. Everything else that I worked on was my threes. I was a really strong 3-point shooter. I worked on my 1 dribble pull-up because I'm not the tallest person in the world. So the 1 dribble pull-up or floaters were my bread and butter when it came to getting in the paint. Mm-hmm. And I worked on getting the defender off of me so I could make whatever move I needed to see. And as a guard, for me, that was really important because I was not the tallest guard, but I was guarded. I'm about 5'8". So I was guarded by guards that were maybe 5'9", between 5'9" and 5'11". Mm-hmm. And so I had to know how to beat somebody off the dribble who was longer than me. They may have been slower. Some of them may have been just as fast,
Right.
but I had to know how to work around the extra length that they had. And so me working on my left hand all day wasn't going to help me beat them off the dribble. And so you have to really understand what your strengths and your strengths are for your team, for yourself, because that's essentially why a coach will recruit you, because you are playing to your strengths and you are not allowing your weaknesses to hold you back. It doesn't mean I can't go left. So I don't want people to get that confused. It doesn't mean I can't go left. It just means that I'm much stronger going right than I ever will be going left. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Areas that I probably could have been better at were rebounding. I just, that wasn't my thing. I had to write reminders on my wristband to go rebound because that's how much I hated to rebound. But that's okay, right? Like, it wasn't the end of the world. It didn't derail my career, but I understood what I was good at and I understood where I needed to put my attention. And so once you find out what your purpose is in your sport, really focus in on that and really make your strengths stronger. And the other thing that I would definitely say is, I've lost my train of thought, so this is not fun. Don't compare. The comparison game is what's going to eat away at your confidence. The comparison game is what's going to eat away at the level of discipline you have, because then you're going to start saying, hey, I'm not as good at this as that person, and the coach really loves them. No, do not change your game because somebody else does something better than you. That's why it's a team effort. That's why, everyone's not robots and everyone doesn't do the exact same thing well. Great. I'm glad she can shoot a pull-up better than me. Guess what? Every time she makes her pull-up, or she gets beats her defender off the dribble, my defender has to help. Now what? My strength is shooting threes. Now she can kick it to me and I can shoot a three. So it's okay for your other teammates to be better at other things than you are, because you're not in competition with your teammates, because you need them to be successful. Just like, because you're such a strong 3-point shooter, they're able to get their mid-range shot off, because now your defender can't help off of you because you're so strong of a 3-point shooter. So it's not about comparison. It's about playing to your strengths, sharpening your strengths, and focusing on what you actually can bring to the team.
Awesome. I'm just writing down some notes. So
For sure.
that was great. I wanted to add on to that, as far as when people are comparing themselves to other players. And I kind of never thought about it this way, but it's a good thing that you might admire somebody for having, better ball handling skills or shooting ability than you. And the beauty of a team is that everybody should be different.
Yes.
If there was a bunch of TKs on the floor or a bunch of Ernies, like, there's certain things I don't do well. We're going to be missing some gaps in our team. Like,
it'd be easy to guard.
Yeah. It's like a puzzle. Every puzzle piece is different, but it makes that beautiful, that picture, that mosaic. So it's important that we are different, but some of our skills may overlap to make us a tighter team. Right. But that's the thing. It's just looking at somebody else and be like, oh, dang, that's why they on the team, and that's why we work together. Like you said, if somebody drives really well, but you're the shooter, they're gonna drive until they get stopped, and then you're gonna be the next thing on our team that we're gonna kick it to, and you're gonna knock down. So I think that's perfect. I also wanted to touch on. You were talking about your left hand and how you worked on it, right? So it did not cripple you. Here's the thing.
Exactly.
So you got to spend enough time on certain skills that will not cripple you. And what I mean by cripple you is make you a liability to your team.
Exactly.
So, or keep your butt on the bench, right? If you can't get off the bench because that left hand, okay, cool. We might need to get that left hand to about a 5 or 6 out of 10.
Right. Absolutely.
You can't keep it at a 2. You can't keep it at a 2, right? So we got to work on that.
Right.
Defense. If I can't keep people in front of me, that's a liability.
You're a liability. Yep.
So if my defense is a 3 out of 10, I'm gonna have to work on my lateral movement. I'm gonna have to play somebody every day that's faster than me, that gets by me. I gotta get better. I gotta get at that 6'3" of a defense up to a 6'7", so I can be on the court and my coach doesn't overlook me when it's time to go in.
Like, especially during crunch time.
Right. And then exactly. And then like for you, it's shooting threes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shooting threes. You use most of your time on those threes because that's what you do. You want to get that to a 9 out of 10.
Right.
9 out of 10 out of 10.
Get your strengths to a 9 out of 10.
Up there. But you can't be a liability. Your weaknesses or shortcomings have to be that kind of a 6, 7. They at least got to be 5, right?
They at least got to be 5. Like, I could go left. Like, this is the thing. It's like, I could go left, but I probably was going to work really, really hard to get back to my right. So that was something I worked on. Like, okay, if you're going to play so hard to my right that if I go right, I'm going to pick up a charge, fine. I'll go left. And as soon as you cut me off, I'm either going to kick it to my three-point shooter because I can drive to the basket really well, or I'm going to find a way to get the defender to shift so I can get back to my right hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you make your weakness not crippling, not a liability, because you still can do it, but it doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all. Like, if I can't dribble left for 2 dribbles, you're probably a liability. But I could dribble left for 2 dribbles. I probably could get to the rim with my left in 2 dribbles. But I never allowed any of my weaknesses. I never allowed my rebounding to be a liability. I never allowed going left to be a liability. I never allowed any of those things to be a liability. You see this all the time with people with teams at the end of the game who don't have strong free throw shooters. There's a reason the non-strong free throw shooters are on the bench at the end of a close game, because you're a liability, right? So it's not a bad thing. It's just the nature of the game. If it comes down to free throws, you want your best free throw shooters on the floor.
Right, exactly.
And so that's just kind of how you have to think about it.
That is exactly. And I think, if you're athletes or trainers or parents out there listening, when you watch NCAA, when you watch WNBA, NBA, everybody, like NBA players have weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
You may not think that LeBron has weaknesses, but he has weaknesses. To him, he does, but his weaknesses are like 7, 8,
right?
So they're still weaker than his, for example, his strong points. Same with Candace Parker or Taurasi or someone like that on the WNBA side. They have weaknesses, but their weaknesses they're not very seen, not seen easily. You can't tell unless you really, really do some deep dive on some stuff.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
And that's the nature of being a professional. You're not really going to have these huge gaps in your skills, right? That's the professional level. You're not going to have big gaps in your skill set. So cool. We got the purpose there. So maybe let's talk about some what is discipline? What does that look like for athletes on a team level, individual level?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Just in general, sort of like in terms of discipline when it comes to mental performance, it's really like it's consistently reinforcing the idea that the appropriate amount of work, appropriate amount of self-control, all of that is a healthy component of the excellence that you're trying to achieve. So in non-terms like that, in layman's terms, it's basically you want to be consistent at what you're performing at, and you want to be consistent in that you're trying to achieve a certain goal. And the only way to be consistent is to work at it every day. That's the only way to be consistent. And it's one of those things where Jocko Willink said it, discipline equals freedom. So if you want to have that much control over your career path and who you get looks from and who you get scouted out by and all that stuff, be disciplined in your work ethic, because your work ethic and how you train will begin to show in how you play. It doesn't matter what sport you're in, how you train, how disciplined you are when you are doing your workouts on your own will begin to show in your play. For example, if you're disciplined and you do your ball handling every single day for the next 3 months, and you do your shooting every single day for the next 3 months, when it comes down to learning a play, when it comes down to defensive rotations, when it comes down to understanding the personnel of who you're guarding, even though you don't practice reading scouts every single day, your level of discipline from how you train will naturally carry over to those areas because that's how you've been training your mind. You've been training your mind to be at a certain level of discipline and precision that it has to carry over into these other areas. And believe it or not, games are won and lost by knowing the personnel of the other team. Games are won and lost by understanding what a team's go-to play is and being able to stop that play. Mm-hmm. It happens every single day. And whether it doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter what team sport you're playing. It comes down to discipline in understanding what the scouting report says, discipline in understanding what your strengths are, discipline in understanding your team's strength. And so that is that's something that you have to do daily. You can't say you're disciplined if you do it 2 times a week. No, you're disciplined at being lazy because 5 out of 7 days you've done nothing. So like if that's what you want to, repeat over and over and over, that's what's going to show on game day. And so you have to understand just 30 minutes, even if you just do something for 30 minutes every single day, at the end of the week, that's 210 minutes that you've put into something. You just got better.
Yes.
You just got better. The math is really simple. So it's just one of those things where discipline equals freedom in that you control your destiny, basically.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to talk. So in terms of discipline, when you go to college or even in high school, there are certain things that their coach is going to make you do, the strength and conditioning, the sprints, being at the gym 2 hours before or however many hours before the game, getting there on time to the bus for away games. There's all those little things. If they're on and off the court, it's basically how your day is set up, right? The things that you got to be in class. Does your coach want you to sit in the first 3 rows of class? Like
no cell phone.
No cell phone. Can you be disciplined? And here's the thing too nowadays. Can you be disciplined to go to a 1 hour training with your coach or team training and have a break and not freaking look at your phone?
Yeah.
Like just stay focused.
Yeah.
Stay focused for that hour that you're with me training or with Coach TK, that 2 hours that you're with your AAU team, right?
Yep.
And honestly, like there's because I've done that. I've trained on my own when I was playing overseas, and I would have those moments, and I'm like, I get caught up. Like I'm having a 5-minute break when I should have just been about a minute or 30 seconds.
Yep.
And I'd be like, so I started to turn that thing off and be disciplined. Because those 4 minutes, I could have got how many reps in?
Right,
10,
exactly.
15 reps on something.
Exactly.
So, Coach, run us through a day in the life of you, your schedule, if you could, back in college.
Okay.
This is the discipline. This is different from high school because going to college is a whole other ball.
You have a lot more downtime in college. So, a typical day, let me think. So I'd wake up, say I have a 9 o'clock class because I really didn't want any classes before 10, but one year I couldn't get out of it. I had a 9 o'clock class. So I would probably get up around 7:30-ish. Mm-hmm. If we didn't have a morning workout. I'm going with no morning workouts.
Okay.
Get up around 7:30-ish, go through my morning routine, clean up, get breakfast, head over to campus, and I would get to my class and be in class for 45, 50 minutes, and then say I don't have class again until about 11-ish. Mm-hmm. So from 9 to 10, I have an open block. Go to the gym, get in about 30, 35 minutes of shots, put everything up, head to my 11 o'clock class. Mm-hmm. And just like Coach E was saying, you're going to have study hall in there. You're going to have mandatory meetings in there. So maybe that's a time after my 11 o'clock class, it's lunchtime. So maybe I go grab a quick bite to eat. Mm-hmm. And instead of leaving campus to go back home, I'll go get an hour in of study hall. Go get 2 hours in of study hall because you're going to have to get study hall hours in. So while I'm on campus, go ahead and knock that out. Then we have practice around 3:34. So I would go into go there a little bit early. If I need to go to the training room, I allowed myself enough time to get my treatment in before practice starts. So 1, I'm not late. And 2, I'm able to fully participate in practice. Have practice, wind down. Maybe I'll get some extra shots in after practice, depending on if I had a night class or not. And then I usually grab a bite to eat with my teammates, and then we go probably for a couple more hours of study hall, and then we'd head back home, whether dorm, apartment, whatever. And that would be the time in which you could relax. So within my day, I mean, sometimes some late nights I would go to the gym and get some extra shots up. But within a day of my schedule, I would try to get 2 workout sessions on my own. If that meant I had to do it between classes and just get, even if it was only 30 or 35 minutes of shooting, okay, cool. And then after practice, or if I got there early enough before practice, trying to get in a workout session before or after practice. And that was my 2 additional workout sessions, because you only can learn so much in practice. The coach can't put you through all the individual work that you need in practice, because that's the time to focus on team. Will you have post-guard breakdown? Yes. Will it be 20 minutes? Yes. Is 20 minutes enough to go pro? No. So you have to find time to get that work in on your own. And that's on a day where I didn't have scout, where I didn't have film, where we didn't have a team meeting. If you have those things, that day gets way more compact, and you may have to start earlier. You may have to get up at 5 or 6 to go get a workout in, to head to your team meeting at 7, then head to the training room at 8, and then community service at 9, and then class from 10 to 1. Like it looks so different depending on what your coaches put emphasis on. Mm-hmm. I remember one year, I don't know if any of my teammates are on here or not, we had to do hot yoga at 6 a.m. in the morning. And I'm going to tell you right now, I left hot yoga and I had to turn around and do my individuals right after hot yoga. Mm-hmm. So that's exhausting in itself. So I had to have the discipline on Tuesdays and Thursdays to go to bed early enough to make sure that I woke up early enough to get to hot yoga on time, which meant 15 minutes early, mentally prepare to engage in the hot yoga exercises, then go to my individual workout with my coaches, and then I had to go to class after that. Mm-hmm. So it's not easy, but if you have the discipline and you're dedicated to getting to your goals and you're dedicated to the team goals, you will find a way.
Yeah. It's just like, whatever you have set out for the day that's in your schedule, making sure that you do your best, you choose to give 100% on that 30 minutes or that hour or that 45 minutes of class. You give 100% in your present during that time. And I think, like you said earlier, those minutes and those hours will just stack up day by day, week by week, month. Soon it'll be 6 months. Soon it'll be a year. You'll be into your junior year, and all that discipline, that time of working on your skill and becoming a better student athlete, you'll see.
Yep.
I have started to tell kids now that the work. Let's say if you're working out in the summertime, you're working out in the summertime, AAU, you're training. You're not going to see this work if you stay consistent with the work that you're doing. You're not going to see this benefit until another 3 or 6 months.
Right. Yeah.
So it's always what I'm doing now. I'm not going to see I'm expecting not to see any benefit for another half a year. Like that, I really want that huge benefit, and for things to be automatic.
Yeah.
Right. Very accurate, very efficient, automatic. So you got to get them into the mindset of not wanting that instant gratification just because, I went hard 3 times a week this summer for 2 months, and then I get back to school in college, and then I stop my consistency. No, when you break that chain, you just set yourself back. You start over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a big part of discipline. And that's a big part of, I actually teach a course on process over outcome, is understanding that the process and the things that you're trying to accomplish aren't going to be instantly seen. And so like these are the people that really catch my eye, is when athletes all of a sudden come out of nowhere. They're just like, who is this kid? They played on our team for 3 years and all of a sudden they just got good. It's like the overnight success. Overnight success, it doesn't exist.
And it does
This
not.
kid has been working and working consistently when you were on Xbox and PlayStation and whatever else. This kid has been working, and now they're seeing the rewards of their work. And you're like, dang, I'm getting passed up by a kid who had more discipline than me.
Yep.
And that's how it is. Every single day this happens. Every single year this happens. So you have to stick with it, because LeBron didn't wake up and wasn't just great. MJ didn't wake up and was just great.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody did. Nobody woke up and was just great. Now, were they naturally good at a lot of things? Yes. But LeBron didn't wake up and become 6'8", 210 muscular man. Like, he wasn't born like that.
Yeah.
So you have to put in that consistent work. That's the discipline.
It is. And we talk about MJs, the LeBrons, the high performing players, the Currys, the Candace Parkers, the Maya Moores, the Tina Charles, Ziz. Those are Simone Augustus. Those are the players that, along with the consistency and the discipline, they have an even as equal mindset and confidence, or bigger. Yeah. Because when you, like that compound interest you're talking about, when you have that action, then you also have that mindset. Mm-hmm. You'll get to that 6-month spot, and you'll really see those benefits come through, or they'll come through faster. Yeah. I don't think that when you put in that work, having the mindset is separate. Now, when you start off putting in that work, it's going to take a little bit of muscle memory and the discipline to continue that consistency. Yep. But at a certain point, you just transform. Your mind transforms, because it's like, I'm putting in all this work. Now I'm seeing the ball go in. Now I'm hitting my move, and I'm getting better, and I'm getting more strong and more confident. Mm-hmm. So at a certain point, those things they come together. Yep. They merge into one. Yes. Yeah. And they don't work alone at all. And that's why mental performance has become such a big, important part of what it is I want to give back to these athletes, because it's not just about the physical. At some point, your mentality will take over. At some point, your mindset will make or break you. It doesn't matter how good you are. If I'm the number one 3-point shooter in the NCAA, and all of a sudden I start telling myself, oh my gosh, I'm terrible. Maybe I've missed 2 or 3 threes in a row, or I haven't made a 3 in the first half or something. And I start telling myself that I'm not a good 3-point shooter. I'm probably not going to make any, and I start believing it. I'm probably not going to make any threes in the second half either. Mm-hmm. So what you tell yourself, your self-talk, feeds into your confidence, and it really can sway your game in a completely different direction than you want it to go. So yes, like Coach E was saying, the physical and the mindset eventually merge into one, and you are what you tell yourself. Now, I can go out there and say, I'm the best left-handed dribbler in the world. Okay, well, natural lefties are probably better than I am at dribbling left. So you can't deceive yourself, but you also don't want to talk yourself out of being good at something. So I can say I'm the best left-handed dribbler in the whole wide world. But now that I keep telling myself that, eventually I'm going to start working on it so I can become the best left-handed dribbler in the world. Sabrina Ionescu, prime example. Mm-hmm. She has a twin brother. She grew up with brothers. They play out in the driveway all the time. Her twin brother turned around and said, I'm a better left-handed dribbler than you are. That's all she needed. She went and worked and worked and worked to be a better left-handed ball handler than her twin brother. She was competing against just her twin brother. And now look at where she is. Granted, she's hurt right now, and I do wish her a speedy recovery, but she became one of the top athletes in college basketball because of that mindset. She told herself something, and then she went out to prove it. Yeah. And she's the only athlete to have 2,000 points, 1,000 assists, 1,000 rebounds, men's or women's, #1 draft pick. I mean, she was playing really well in her, first 5 games. I think her second game she had like 33 points in the WNBA. So I mean, she took discipline. She took a challenge to the ultimate level, and her mentality is off the charts. But that's how it starts, and that's what you guys can do. It's exactly what everyone who's watching this
can do. You can have that kind of mentality and go out and prove it every single day.
You got to every day. You have to be working. Whatever you do, whether you say, "Hey, I can't go to the game. My body needs a rest." Try to watch some film. Everything you do needs to take you in the direction of your purpose and your goals. Yep. And it's always good. It's always good to get a complete rest of thinking, basketball, or your sport, and a physical rest. But only if you've been busting your butt.
Right.
Only if you're actually tired. All right. So, guys, if you're watching, throw us some comments, throw us some questions that we can answer at the end of our podcast. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know where you're coming from. We got Coach TK here, Tk LaFleur with Mindset 180 Academy. So we're going to continue rolling. This is a great podcast today. So we're going to get into that accountability piece. We've kind of been talking about it. We haven't directly talked about it, but when you talk about discipline, its partner is accountability, and they kind of work the same. Coach, how would you define accountability or explain that? What does that look like for young athletes out here?
Right. So accountability is basically holding yourself to the standards that are either set by yourself, by your coach, by a trainer, but it's something that you also have to agree to. You can't let an outside person say, this is the level that I want to hold you accountable to, and you don't really agree with it, because then you're not going to do it. So it's definitely a level of commitment and holding yourself to certain expectations every time you step foot on the playing surface, the practice field, whatever it is. And so accountability partners are huge in helping keep you accountable. I have an accountability partner. You would think that I wouldn't need an accountability partner to work out, because I used to work out all the time, but I actually have one, and I work out 6 days a week. And you could laugh, that's fine. But here's the deal.
I'll tell you why I'm laughing.
I have to send my workout for the day to my accountability partner 6 days a week. I only have one off day that I had to negotiate. One off day. And if I don't send her my workout, she is a personal trainer. She'll send me a workout that I have to do that she picks for me. And I've done her workouts. I ain't trying to do her workouts. So I use that as motivation to say, you know what? I need to do my workout, whether it's riding a Peloton, whether it's lifting weights, whether I go run on the treadmill or run outside. It doesn't matter what it is. I am putting someone on my team to help me remain accountable to the goals that I want to reach. And for athletes, it's so important, because no matter what your age is, no matter what your goal is, you will need a team to truly help propel you to that next level, because no one got anywhere alone, right? So think about everybody who you want on your team. It might be an AAU coach who's on your team. It might be one of your parents who's on your team. You may have a personal trainer who's on your team. All of those people are on your team to help you achieve your goals, and you're essentially holding everyone on your team accountable to what it is that they need to bring to the table, just like they're holding you accountable to what you need to the energy you need to exert, to the focus you need to exert. And being accountable to them and them being accountable to you helps you be accountable to your team, which helps your team succeed, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll tell you why I was laughing. So here's why I'm laughing about the accountability partner and working out. So, we get used to going to college and we're working out as a group. Everything's as a group. Film, you're never alone for those sprints, for those strength and conditioning. You're never alone, Then when you go pro, it's just you. You got to make sure you go do your conditioning. You got to make sure you go do your shooting in your one-on-one with yourself. So that was fine. I made that transition, understood that. But check this out. When I retired, I'm telling you, I could not work out by myself. Like, nothing was getting done. Nothing. So I'm like, wow, why can't I focus? So I figured out, okay, I got to go back to a group setting because nothing's getting done. So I had to sign up for these different classes, gyms with classes, and I would get, as long as I got there, I would get my workout done.
Right.
Because if other people are moving, I don't know, it's just weird retirement thing. If other people are moving, I get moving. But then if like somebody's kind of like working me, you know, that competitor comes out, I'm like,
right, exactly.
Let me hit these ladders.
And you can't show you're tired. You can't show any weakness. And yeah, the competitive nature really starts to come out for sure.
That's why I was laughing. I was like, yeah, I definitely know that I need accountability class. I need you right here with me. So
for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's see. Commitment. I wrote something down, but I can't remember what I was going to say about it. Change and adjustment. I don't know. It'll come back to me. So accountability, man. What else did we not hit on the nail today? On the head?
So with accountability, and this is why we say accountability and discipline go together, because if you're not accountable to yourself, then you can't be accountable to anyone, right? And so something that I had to learn before I got an accountability partner, but I knew that there were the goals that I wanted to hit. So something that I tell myself that I incorporate every day is two things. It's an acronym called ACE, which is action changes everything. So if I start moving, I probably will start feeling less tired. When I start getting tired, that means I've probably been sitting down too long. I'm probably not drinking enough water. So I'll get up, go get some water. I may step outside for a little bit to refresh myself, to get away, because I work in front of a computer screen all day. So my action, which was getting up and moving around, it changed how I felt, which changed my energy. So action changes everything, right? Okay. The other thing that I tell myself is, if I have to choose between taking a nap and working out, I used to always pick the nap. That was my favorite thing. I love naps. So what I eventually learned is that instead of taking a nap, even though I may feel tired, for 15 minutes, I'm going to prepare myself to work out. So that could be stretching, that could be changing into my workout clothes. And in that 15 minutes, if that 15 minutes goes by and I still don't feel like working out, then I'll go take my nap. But if it goes by and now I'm in a different mindset, I'm in a different place because I took action and I actually did something to change my state.
Yes.
I've gotten this far. Now I might as well work out. I'm in the workout room. I already have my workout clothes on. I'm at the gym, whatever your scenario is. I'm outside stretching to go do an outside run, whatever it is. I've spent 15 minutes preparing to go work out. I might as well finish the workout or start the workout. And so those are two things that really help me stay accountable to myself and remain disciplined. And that's something that athletes can incorporate in their day. Like I know in college, I've gone back to times where it's like, man, I know I need to get some shots up, but man, I'm already laying in bed. I'm watching TV. It's comfortable. But I really need to get these shots up because I need to be on my game for a season or whatever. Okay. So change your state, get up, move around in your dorm, move around in your apartment, just change your state as in general. And then spend 15 minutes preparing yourself to go shoot shots, preparing yourself to go shoot free throws, whatever it is, whether that means you walk to the gym, you drive to the gym, get to the locker room and you change into your practice clothes, whatever it is. And if after 15 minutes of truly giving it your energy and effort to prepare for what you want to be doing, if you still don't feel like doing it, then don't do it. But I'm going to go ahead and say that after you do all that, you're going to want to do it because you've committed. Yeah. Right. You've taken action to change your state, to hold yourself accountable to your goals. Because not everyone can look at their goals and say, that's enough for me to stay committed. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's why mental performance is here. That's why me as a coach, that's why I'm here to help give you the cues and the strategies that you need to stay committed to your goals when that feeling of euphoria leaves, because it will leave. You're not always going to feel like doing something. Do it anyway. You're not always going to feel like talking on a defensive rotation. Do it anyway. You're not always going to feel like going to bed early because you have to wake up early just to get in some extra shots. Do it anyway, because in the long term, you're going to achieve your goals. And ask yourself this. Maybe this will get you motivated. Maybe this will get you to hit the accountability and discipline scale at a high level. Are you training according to your aspirations?
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no? It's simple. It's not a kind of. It's either a yes or a no. Are you training? Are you studying? Are you preparing according to your aspirations?
Yes.
And if you're answering yes, then keep doing it and elevate. And if the answer is no, then start.
Yeah, adjust and change.
Yep.
I think that's great. That's something that athletes can always ask themselves. What I do too is after I have an evaluation form,
mm-hmm.
like a Google form for my kids after their games or after their trainings,
mm-hmm.
they get to fill that out, and it's just for me to kind of see where they are. But for them, it's like, okay, so rate yourself on what you did today.
Mm-hmm.
Rate yourself on how'd you feel, how much energy did you exert, what did you struggle with, just some different questions.
Mm-hmm.
That can be an evaluation that kids do. And then for us college players or pro players, we know we can do that in our head, or we can do that in our journal. It doesn't matter how you do it. The thing is, if you want to be a high performing athlete, you have to figure out a lot of different. You have to figure out how you operate. What motivates you? I was just making a list of things that I would try to use on myself if
mm-hmm.
I ever had those days where I didn't feel like waking up early to go stretch and go to this strength and conditioning we had, or shoot, we had our morning session, we had a second session, now we got to go do our full overseas, our full night practice
mm-hmm.
for 2 hours, and you know how that's gonna be. They're gonna run us up and down the whole time after we already had 2 practices, and like, hey, I really don't want to go. So I had like a little mini list that I can get off the top of my head of things that I would do to, like, okay, get myself out the bed, let's get dressed, let's get this taxi and get on the way to the gym. So my number one thing was Martin. Something funny to get me energized. I love to laugh.
Yeah.
My favorite show is Martin. So you can go on YouTube, you can go on Instagram and find little clips of Martin and Shanae acting a fool. And you can be, just get yourself in that energized state where you can get in that game state. State. A quick thought about my goals. Like, dang, okay, I don't feel like it, but I'm trying to make sure I'm getting 20 and 10 or my double doubles this season. Okay. Look at my highlights. Like if I had games, if I was in like a slump or I just felt I wasn't, doing well that week for practice, but I knew I had a good game Saturday and I had to perform, I would look at old games. I look at high school games. I look at college games or other highlights from other years of playing overseas and be like, okay, that's me. I got this. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves of how good a player we are. Remind ourselves of what are 3 things that we do naturally, what our value props are, right? Sometimes when we beat ourselves up, we are our number one most judgmental person before coaching outside fans and other that. Like, we will bring ourselves down, and sometimes you gotta build yourself up to get to that place where you can play.
Yep.
Music. I love some music. I love some R&B, some slow jams, some crazy old school 90s music. I would think about, okay, who are we playing Saturday? Oh no, that's the number 1 team. Oh no, I gotta get up.
And no time to rest.
I gotta go. I gotta get up and we got to go get this, right? Maybe coach was like, okay, if we beat this team, I'm gonna give you an extra off day. You know how
Man.
will motivate us? We're gonna have
off days were the best motivation.
We got Sunday and Monday. What? Let's go. We about to beat y'all because we're getting an extra off day. Am I being consistent? I just got to be consistent. Just got to keep trucking. You said do it anyway. Get up and do it. You're a professional. You are a college athlete. You got to get up and do it. You got to suck it up. This is what we came here for. And then another thing is, I got, at the bare minimum, every game I play, I got to do my job. If I'm not scoring, I have to rebound. I have to defend. My girl cannot go off.
Yep.
Right? I got to get loose balls. I got to be scrappy. If I cannot score, I got to do something else to make it seem like I did score. Since I was all over the place. You know
right.
I mean? You had them games like, dang,
absolutely.
She had 2 points. I thought she had like 30. Now she was throwing dimes. She was rebounding, all that,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then the last thing is like, I don't want to be the one to let the team down.
Yep.
It can't be me.
Yep.
When coach starts going off, I don't want my name to be said.
It probably will still be said, but right. When you go overseas and you're the American, it's always your fault.
Exactly. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I don't want to be in film and be like, dang, Ernie, where was you at? Like, you were you were 2 passes late getting the help side.
Yep.
And it's you again. Like, college, no.
You watch a lot of film in college.
Look, I played not to be on the film.
Hey, whatever works, whatever motivates you. Exactly. That's a great. I wish I'd have thought of that when I was in college. Play not to be blasted in film.
Not to be blasted and roasted. Like, dang.
That's awesome motivation. I like that one. I'm going back and I'm going to use that.
Yeah, it's just little things, man. So it's crazy because the longer you play, the more things that you'll notice in different times of your career that will help you stay motivated, help you get a little spark. And then also just having that 1 or 2 teammates where you can just be honest and be like, look, whenever I'm not feeling practice, I need you to pep me up in this type of way, or just pep me up and be like, come on, man. And do that and do the same thing for your teammates or your friends.
Right.
But being honest, like, tell people that, hey, there's some times where I get in a slump and I get down on myself. I just need to help me pick myself up.
Right. You know? Accountability partner in the form of motivation.
Yep, exactly. So we talked about goals and purpose, discipline and accountability. I know we wanted to get this in today, Coach, talking about mental imagery and then meditation. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
So these are 2 things that I did when I was in AAU, but I don't think I really realized I was doing it. Okay. And then I just never did it again. I don't know why, but I just did it. But so mental imagery is not daydreaming. I know some people will be like, oh, but I do this all the time. I daydream. No, you're daydreaming. That's completely different. That's like a perfect scenario. Nothing could ever go wrong, whatever. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to mental imagery and meditation, you're truly putting yourself in the moment of game time situations, and you're allowing yourself to go through and think about what could go wrong and what can go right. How are you going to respond if things go wrong? How are you going to respond if the game is on the line and you have to hit clutch free throws? Everybody's screaming and yelling because you're at the other team's stadium. Mm-hmm. How are you going to respond if you miss a key defensive rotation and that ultimately causes your center to have to rotate and then they foul out? Yeah. Then what? Like, how do you respond to that? How do you respond when you hit a clutch shot and there's still time left on the clock? So, like, you don't have to only, like, meditate and use mental imagery for the bad things. You can use it for the good things, because how many times have we seen teams make a clutch shot with 2 seconds left and they celebrate because they think the buzzer went off. Mm-hmm. And then the team will get the ball at the net, throw it the length of the court, score, and game over, and they lost. Like, you have to always remain composed and always understand time and score and all of that stuff. But how do you really control your emotions, control your breathing, control how you logically and rationally think through the scenarios in the heat of the moment? That's where mental imagery comes in. That's where meditation comes in. Something that I did when I was, this is my form of meditation that I did whenever I was playing AAU, is when the Lakers, it was Kobe and Shaq, and they won, I think it was the 2001 NBA championship. Well, I recorded a lot of Kobe's interviews. I actually still have it for those who are 80s babies, 90s babies, the cassette tape, they had a Walkman, not an MP3 recording.
You got the double A's with you.
Right. You had to use the pencil to rewind it, and you could rewind it on your tape. Yeah, that's how far back I had to, take it. But I used to have I still have it actually, but I would listen to a cassette tape of Kobe's recordings instead of listening to music. That's what I would listen to on the way to games, because I was so in tune with what he was saying in his post-game interviews, and that got me ready mentally to play in my games. And that is actually a form of mental imagery. It's a form of putting yourself in a mental state where you can be focused on what's going on, be focused on the present, because you can't get too far ahead in the future, and you can't be worried about the shot you missed in the first quarter, because it's not going to help you in the third quarter. So just the way that he was answering his questions, that was something that really was important for me to mentally prepare. Now, I didn't do that through college, and it showed. Not saying that was the only thing that hindered some of my growth and progress in college, but that's ways that you can use mental imagery and meditation. And so I wrote down, actually, I'm going to read some of these off, ways that athletes today can incorporate some type of mental imagery in their routines right now. When you're on the bus to the arena, most people have their headphones on. Use that time to close your eyes, think about the highs and lows of the game, think about the good and the bad, think about if something goes bad, how are you going to respond? Do you have a technique or a strategy that allows you to flush that out of your system and go on to the next play? Think about each night before you go to bed. Think of maybe run through practice in your mind. Take the good, leave the bad. Did you respond in the way you wanted to? Did you play the way you wanted to? Where could you get better? Where could you prepare for your next training session? Each morning before getting out of bed, do the same thing. In the locker room before practice or games, when you put your uniform on, maybe the next thing you do is your mental imagery. And it doesn't have to be, 20 and 30 minutes long. Maybe it's 2 minutes, maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe you listen to a recording. It doesn't really matter. But the point is that you are putting yourself in a mental state that allows you to be in the moment, focused on the task at hand, and ready to dominate whatever it is you are about to do. Game, practice, weight room, whatever. And that's really the importance of mental imagery, because it helps develop a grittiness to your game. It gives you that extra edge, I guess, that helps you to, things go good, things go bad, you're able to just kind of go right through it and stay at the highest level of your game.
Yeah. That's that consistent play.
Yep.
Whatever happens, consistent play, whether we're playing at the top of our game, we're kicking somebody's butt, in that consistent play when we might be down 10, or we're still in the game, but we haven't been playing like ourselves. Right. And you said it's response. How do we respond? Think about how you would want to respond in those moments. The more you didn't do that, the more that when you get to those moments, you're going to respond how you imagined it. Right.
Exactly. It's like a small equation that I give some of my athletes. It's E plus R equals O, which means event plus response equals outcome. Okay. So we may not have that much control over the event. We don't have any control over if the ref calls a foul on us, if we dribble off our foot, if the ball goes in or out, like goes in the basket or not. We don't have control necessarily over those kinds of things, but we have 100% control over our response.
Yes.
And that the way we respond can influence the outcome. And so if the ref calls a bad call on you or whatever, instead of just arguing with the ref and then you spend the next 3 plays worried about the bad call, then you pick up another foul. Now you're on the bench. Or you could say, okay, the ref made a bad call. I don't agree with it, but guess what? I'm going to go get it back on defense. Or the ref I didn't make the 3 that I wanted to, even though I was wide open. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to derail the rest of my game because I missed 1 3. That's okay. I know I shot it with good form. I'm going to keep going. Another area that you can really use mental imagery is on the free throw line. On the free throw line, catch your breath, take your time, close your eyes, visualize the ball going in, visualize you shooting it with perfect form. Step up to the line, get the ball from the ref, do your routine, and shoot it. Don't get so caught up in the outcome. Focus more on, did I shoot it with great form? Because sometimes you can shoot the perfect shot and it's still going to rim out. It'll rim in and rim out. We see it all the time. It'll spin around the rim, spin around, and then it'll just fly out. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
So you can't get overly caught up in the outcome, and using that mental imagery helps you to understand that that can happen, but I'm not going to let it derail everything for the rest of the game.
Yes. Don't get exactly, coach. Don't get caught up on the outcome and of the many how do you say, the small events that happen, like shooting a free throw, whether I make or miss. Especially if I miss, don't get caught up on it, because I'm gonna miss the next one. And then if I get fouled again, I'll be thinking about the first one I missed, and I'll miss these next two.
Now you miss 3 instead of you just missing 1.
Yeah, I had some issues going to the foul line my senior year. I was I don't know what happened, like senioritis. It got to the point where I hated being fouled. I was like, dang, I just want to make it. Why you got to put me to the line? And I would go up there and miss. But in practice, I would make it. So there was a disconnection. And it's because I was not thinking of myself as positive in those moments. I didn't do more imagery. What is it called? Mental imagery and positive thinking around those moments that kind of give me anxiety. Yeah. And I really had never. I don't know about you, but I really have never heard, when you shoot free throws and play ball, you can really never hear the stands. I hear them, but you don't.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right? So it never really bothered me, but I got to senior year and I was all off. Only free throws. It was just only free throws. It was super weird, but I got over it. I went pro, so we fixed it.
Right. You didn't let that distract you from your entire goal and just completely throw off the rest of the season.
Yeah. And then the response, we're talking about responding and letting things go. And it's just that simple quote of next possession, next play, next shot, next pass.
Yep. And those
next, let it go.
Those are tactics actually that I really hone in on with my clients. Is there, you can do more than just saying next play, because sometimes that doesn't always work. Okay. It's definitely great, but there are other strategies and tactics that you can use to basically say next play without saying next play. And so if you want to learn more about those things, like mental performance is where you need to be, because that is exactly the stuff that we hone in on, making sure that your mentality and your mindset, whether you're playing great, whether you're not playing great, whether you're winning, you're losing, it's a close game, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the sport, whether you psych yourself out. Those are the types of things, those mental barriers are the types of things that mental performance tackles and really works to eliminate from your game so that you can compete at your highest level day in and day out. Because if you can have all the skill in the world, but if you don't have the confidence, if you don't have the mindset, if you don't have that go-getter attitude, it's not going to matter. It's just not going to matter. And eventually you will get passed up because you personally are psyching yourself out, even though you have all the talent in the world, and vice versa. Maybe you don't have all the talent in the world. That's okay too, because what you bring to the table, along with the mentality and the elite mindset that you have, that can propel you to be better than the person who has all the talent in the world but not a very strong mindset. Yeah. So it all works together. So when you get that athlete who is super talented and has a strong mentality, they're unstoppable. That's why Diana Taurasi is so freaking good. Like, she's so freaking good. I mean, I can list a bunch more people, but Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, Maya Moore, Sabrina Ionescu, like, there's just so many talented women out there playing basketball. There's so many talented athletes in this world who, when they have a combination of skill and mindset, they're just unstoppable. Mm-hmm. They're just unstoppable.
Yeah. This was great. This hour and 8 minutes was the bomb.
Yeah, it was fun.
Fire. We got 2 more weeks to this. I hope you guys will tune in every Monday, or at least watch the replay whenever you can. I want to leave everybody with this, that for especially the athletes, is to don't judge yourself too much. Be easy on yourself. Sure. Work hard. Do what you can do. Control what you can control, and it's how you respond. It's the work ethic that you give. It's the discipline and the accountability that you have. Don't judge yourself too harshly. If you didn't get something done, vow that you're going to get it done tomorrow. Right? Make the adjustment. Be accountable for that exchange. Right?
Absolutely.
Coach, any leaving remarks or end remarks you have?
I'm going to leave with this. Everyone has a response ability to attack their goals and their dreams. And I say response as in just the word response. And then you have the ability to continue to move forward. So responsibility is a very important word for those athletes wanting to propel to the next level.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Before we get out of here, tell them where they can find some more information about you. I've got your website right here, rolling at the end, at the bottom there.
For sure. So you can check out the website at mindset180academy.com. I'm also on all the social medias. For Facebook and IG, it's at Mindset180 Academy. For Twitter, it's Mindset_180. I'm available for email. You can call. We can get a chat going. Definitely. My email, that's my email there on the screen right there. If you want to sign your team up, sign your athletes up, it doesn't matter. I'm willing to help. I want to help. I want to really push this mental performance so that your athletes can be ready to handle just about anything that's thrown their way.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. All right, guys, for everybody, if you have a question that you want to be answered on our show, we have 2 more episodes. We're talking about mental performance, or in general, if I can help you with anything, email me here at askcoache@gmail.com. I'm in the Austin area. If you're looking for training, text me at 512-666-7289. Get in contact with me. Let's see, how I can help. I also do electrotherapy for acceleration of injuries. So if you have an ankle sprain or knee pain, call me. Check me out at Shock Me Up on IG. You'll see what I do there. But other than that, you guys reach out to Coach. Have a consultation with her. See how you can take your game to the next level on the mental side. And I'm telling you, as both of us are professional athletes, both of us McDonald's All-Americans, right, Coach?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, we've been playing this game for a long time, both retired now, but we cannot tell you enough how much the mental side of being an athlete or whatever you're doing in life, if you want to succeed at it, you've got to continue to find ways to master your mind and your mindset and your confidence around what you're doing, to have fun with what you're doing and be of value to your team and really master what you're doing. So join us. We're coming back next week, Monday at 4:30 Central Time, 5:30 Eastern Time. Hey, throw some comments for us. Throw some questions at us. Let us answer some questions for you guys, okay?
Yep. Thanks, everyone. Right. Thanks, Coach E, for having me.
No problem. Bye, guys.